Hey, everybody, it's Matt Michaels here on the Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting with Simon Street and Sin City Steve. And today we are talking with the star of a new docu-series on the Roku channel, and that is Kayla Sparks. How's it going, Kayla?
Awesome. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you could do it. You've got this project going on. We'll talk about that in a little while, but first, when you were growing up, what was it like for you? Did you ever see pro wrestling or combat sports? Did that even intrigue you back then? What was your childhood like?
Oh my gosh, I grew up loving pro wrestling since I was a really young age. Since I was like 3 years old, I remember, on my birthday, there's like a VHS tape out there, and I got this TV tray with Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior on it, and there's like a clip of it somewhere, but it's super cute. Like, that's my memory I'll always have, is like sitting at so every Saturday morning, I would sit with my dad and we would watch wrestling, and then as like the years went by, we'd watch wrestling together, like as a family. So wrestling has always been in my life. Like, it's been huge influence on me. So Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior were like my ultimate favorites growing up. And I always loved watching WWE, and my biggest influences were like The Undertaker was my favorite, and Sting, and I watched WCW too growing up. So yeah, I just always was a huge fan.
And in speaking of that, did you know or want to pursue pro wrestling? When did that come into your life? Did you know as a kid that, hey man, I want to do this?
Yes, I'd play, like N64, Super Nintendo, all the video games out there, and I would always imagine myself like in the ring, and I always wanted to be a pro wrestler. That was my dream since I was a kid. So yeah, I definitely and then when I was a teenager, when I was 13, I discovered there was a pro wrestling school actually in my hometown, Schenectady, New York, and they had it on the news, and my mom was watching it, and I'm like, my mom gave me that look like, I know what you're thinking. And it's like they were like really adamant, like they didn't want me to do it at first, because obviously it's like, it's dangerous, it's you can get hurt and stuff like that. But I had to convince, I'm like, this is my dream, I have to do it. And I mean, back then, I don't know if they would allow, like teenagers now to like get into wrestling school now, but I was very lucky to be able to start at such a young age at 13, which is an awesome, super awesome time for me. So I'm glad I'm back in it. And yeah, wrestling has always been a part of my life. I've always been a huge fan.
So kind of with that, let's just kind of jump right into it. Tell us about your TV series that's on the Roku channel, about your life.
So I know, it's crazy, right? I can't believe there's a TV series now. So it's called Against the Ropes, and it's inspired by the story of me, getting into wrestling at a young age, being the only female in the school, and like going through the, high school, because I was going into high school at the time. And, I had some setbacks, like friends didn't, didn't like that I was talking about wrestling all the time, or stuff like that. And just like my parents were against it at first. And then also with the wrestling stuff, it a little bit of my personal life, coming of age and discovering who I was and my sexuality and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things going on in the TV series. But that was my first time ever having anything like that. Being a part, I got to be the executive producer, so I got to be a part of everything, which was awesome to actually be a part of that whole project. And I got to, see behind the scenes and help with the script and the actors and actresses that we had on set. Everything behind the scenes I was a big part of, which I was excited to be a part of it. And so yeah, it's on Roku channel right now, and eventually pretty soon it's going to be streaming on other platform services like Amazon Prime and Hulu. But yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive right now.
Really quick,
what was the inspiration, and how did the show come about? I mean, what was kind of the perfect storm that launched into that?
So yeah, that's a good question. So my friend, Shane Alden, we used to actually wrestle back in the day when we were teenagers for this promotion called World of Hurt, and it's actually still running. And he actually owns a filming company, New Light Media Films. And so I was doing a podcast for the Shining Wizards, and they just reached out to me out of the blue, and they wanted to talk about my wrestling career and like, how all the things about it. And like, so my friend Shane heard it, and he's like, I've been wanting to do a TV series about a wrestling, but I haven't, found the right story, but your story's perfect. It's like, would you be interested in doing a, TV series based, inspired by your life? And I'm like, yeah, that would be awesome. Let's do it. So that's how that happened. And like, ever since, it was awesome to like be a part of it. And, I'm really proud. I'm really happy with, how it came about. And I'm so lucky, blessed, like be able to like have that experience and like get to meet all these awesome people like that were part of the TV show. And so yeah, it's an exciting time.
What would you say was the biggest obstacle while making the docuseries happen?
I guess being that it had to like I really had to dig deep and like share my personal stuff, my story and stuff like that. So I guess that was like kind of like you had to expose yourself to, to get the story out there. But in the end, I knew that with me being open about my story and the things I had to go through, that in the end, I hope that it would inspire someone watching it that maybe could be going through like, trying to figure out who they are as a person, or like their sexuality, or like maybe they're going through obstacles with trying to chase after their dreams and they don't know if they can do it, or they're getting setbacks, or they're being told they can't do it, or whatever it is that I had to go through. I hope that people watching it can be inspired and be like, oh yeah, she did it. She didn't give up. She's she can do it, so I can do it. So that's what I hope that people get out of it. And like, I guess the other thing is too, like, with TV shows or movies, that things aren't 100% accurate. So like, that's why I say the story's inspired by, because a lot of it, some of it was changed around my story. So, but with that being said, it was at least, like the message can get across, you know what I mean? So that's what's important. I hope that people that watch it will get something out of it and hopefully be inspired to like, chase after their dreams and not, don't ever take no for an answer, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
like with your sexuality being
Mhm.
exposed to, what do you feel is what do you hope that kids can gain, younger people can gain, that you didn't necessarily have? What was the experience like before you came into the public eye with just trying to find out who you were and be yourself, uh, and now having to carry that into the public light? What is that line you're walking in terms of what your sexuality is and
Yeah.
how you found it, and then going forward, how are you going to be able to deal with the potential of people, well, the
Yeah.
internet is something else, right? So
Right. No, I mean, that's what it's all about. Like growing up, it was really hard for me. Like I was still like, when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, you're still growing, you're still figuring out who you are, your likes and your interests and stuff like that. But I always knew when I was like a young age that I knew I was like, gay, lesbian, whatever. And but I didn't, I was in denial for a long time because, my parents were I grew up in a very like Catholic, strict household. So like I knew like I was actually scared to like actually talk about it or like come out, so I didn't actually come out till I was like in my early 20s. But with that said, I feel like, I feel almost empowered now, because now, since, I took such a long break from wrestling, which, was due to like other, mainly it was because I had a really bad concussion. But when I came back into it and, with the TV show and everything going on, it inspired me to like, actually like, what, this is going to be a different era. It's a different whole scene, wrestling in general, like women's wrestling has come a long way. And so like, for me personally, like I see, that there's an important message being said. Like you have to, like, for me, it's important to be true to myself. So I hope that, me like putting it out there. Like you see on my gear now, I have the rainbow star. So like that's really important for me, the pride, to show that and to like be comfortable, like just be true to yourself. And like that's so like that's always been important for me to that I've learned like this past year or so, that I've really grown into like being comfortable with who I am and sexuality or whatever it may be, and just just enjoying life, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Like it's important just to like be happy with who you are, and don't ever, my parents, weren't accepting of it, and they still aren't, but I'm just happy I have that support system. Like my friends and family are there, and I guess that's important to always have that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just happy that I can be happy with myself, and hopefully that'll inspire young kids out there, or adults that are still afraid of like coming out, or if they're afraid of like the what will happen if they do. And yeah.
So
Most
you
definitely.
talked a little bit earlier about taking a break from wrestling for a little
Yeah.
bit due to a concussion. Can you go in a little bit more with regards to what that was, and how that was, you overcame that? Because you took a pretty substantial break, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. I never wanted to stop. Like obviously like wrestling, I was telling you guys, like pro wrestling's been my dream. I never wanted to stop ever, but stuff happens and you can't control things that happen. But I did, I got a really bad concussion, and I suffered, I don't know if you guys ever had a concussion or know anyone that has, but there's, the side effects, like vertigo is one of those, like where you feel dizzy, like disoriented, and you don't, like, it just comes out of nowhere. So like that happened for me a couple years actually after I stopped wrestling. And so that was scary for me. And I just kind of went the route of, I was still, I was like I think I was like 19 or so when I stopped. And so I tried to, not let it get me down and get depressed, but I was for a while, because I didn't want to stop wrestling, and I always watched it. I never stopped watching it. Like I was still a fan, huge fan. And so 14 years later, I know it's a long time, but during that time, I did, the whole like career thing. And I was actually super blessed, lucky to be able to start a career, outside of wrestling, with computers and IT and stuff like that. So luckily I have like, a backup career. And I did the whole, adulting thing. I bought a house at a young age, which was, a big accomplishment, stuff like that. But a lot of it was like self-reflecting, and definitely like now that this time around, I feel like 100%, like I'm not even worried about, the past, like concussions and all that stuff, because I've actually been fine. So, and the doctor said I'm okay, cleared. So, so that's a good thing, so just moving forward now. And I'm excited about what the future holds, and like what's been going on. Like it's been amazing, like all the opportunities and things that have come my way. So I'm just super excited, pumped about like now and the future. So
without a doubt. And you mentioned opportunities. One thing that was huge is that you wrestled Thunder Rosa on the AEW show at Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Yes.
Talk to us about your AEW experience and what it was like wrestling Thunder Rosa on that type of a stage.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't even, like, I'm still pinching myself from the whole thing. Like, I can't, it's like, it's like, I'm still speechless talking about it. I just couldn't believe, like, so the whole thing came about, Arthur Ashe. I never met Thunder Rosa in person before that. And, but I was able, her husband, Brian, reached out to me, and Thunder to wrestle for Mission Pro Wrestling, which I don't know if you guys are aware, but that's her own promotion that she has, that she's running with them. And Melanie, they do an awesome job. Like, I'm so happy and proud to be a part of that. So when they asked me to do that back, this past August, I was super happy and excited to be a part of that. And then when the Arthur Ashe, opportunity came up, I was just like, I can't even describe how excited I was. Like, it was a dream come true. And, being in front of, like, let alone, like, I'm wrestling Thunder Rosa, who's like the greatest, wrestler now, like she's number 5 on the Pro Wrestling Illustrated this past year. Like, she's done amazing things for not just women's wrestling, but just in general. Like, she's just an amazing person, you know what I mean? And I'm so like lucky to, like, she's in my life now. And like, I tell her and Brian, I know it sounds cheesy, but I'm like, you guys are literally like my guardian angels, because you gave me this opportunity, like Mission Pro and AEW, and it's opened up so many doors now for me and other women too. Like, it's just such a selfless thing that they're doing for women's wrestling and people that are just out there trying to chase after their dreams. So I'll never forget AEW that night. It was 20,000 people, and I can't even describe, like, I remember I was in the ring before the match, and Dustin Rhodes was there throughout the whole thing, and that was my first time meeting him. And I grew up watching all these people that were in the ring and watching, and like it was just such a surreal moment for me, because like I grew up watching them on TV and like idolizing these guys and girls. So like that was I remember right before we went out into the current, I remember like everything, like in a movie where everything's just going slow-mo and you're like, is this really happening right now? That's kind of how it was for me. Like I just remember like Thunder Rosa opened the door and she's like waving like, come on, let's go. We were actually the first match too that night. I don't know if you knew that, but like the first match, so we had to like set the tone for the 20,000 people, AEW's biggest show. Here I am, I'm Kayla Sparks, like just trying to like follow my dreams. And then I remember Dustin was backstage and he put his hands on my shoulders and he's like, are you scared? And I'm like, no. And then he's like, are you nervous? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, it's good nerves, like he's like, go out there, you're gonna kill it, be confident, I believe in you. And so like that gave me the push. Everyone was just so that's what I love about when I was there, and AEW in general, like the locker room is so supportive of each other, and just it's a nice, it's like a little family, you know what I mean? It's nice that people have your back. And yeah, I'll never forget walking through and then hearing that roar, the crowd, and like I had to catch myself at one point because I remember when Thunder Rosa was coming out, and I heard I literally was almost like blanking out. Like I remember looking around, and then like I was just such in awe, and like I heard the roar and the chant for her, and I was just so excited for her, coming down the ramp. And at one point I had to stop myself from clapping because I was just like so in the moment, and I was just like, yeah. But yeah, I'll never forget that moment.
I
So,
think no, I was gonna say, I think it would have been wonderful. I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever seen anyone clap for their opponent.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. And I'm just like, I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm just super happy and smiling, bubbly. So that's just my personality outside and inside the ring. So I do kind of have to catch myself.
No, that's quite right. And it's because of your personality, I want to jump into this question. So, a lot of people don't admit to it, but I'm one that has been very outspoken. I have a celebrity wrestling crush, and I hear you have a celebrity wrestling crush. And I want to hear about your wrestling celebrity crush, because these guys won't admit to their wrestling celebrity crushes. But go ahead, tell us your wrestling celebrity crush.
Oh, cool. Oh, chill. You put me on the spot. Well, I mean, with wrestling, there's so many people that actually, I'll say it's a crush, but like, being that, I just recently like came out and like, in my early 20s, but now like in wrestling that I'm out, it's inspiring to see other people, on TV that, have the same like, mentality or goals that you do. So like, I guess I'll put it out there, my celebrity crush would be Sonya Deville. She's in WWE. I'm sure you've heard of her. Yeah, I just think it's awesome that she's like one of the first like female openly gay wrestlers for WWE. So I mean, like that's amazing. Like, and I hope that, maybe going forward, if I ever, my dream is to be in WWE. So like, it would be nice to have like some more like representation as far as like the LGBTQ and stuff like that. But yeah, it's out there now. Who's your guys' celebrity crush?
Yeah, guys, what's your celebrity crush?
I know, right?
Mine's easy. It's John Cena.
Oh my gosh. I love
at least you got to hug your celebrity crush.
Yeah.
I got to wrestle with my celebrity crush, so I'm good.
There you go. I met him before. He's actually really awesome. He's such a humble guy. I like John Cena.
Yeah.
Steve, Alexa Bliss.
Alexa
Bliss.
Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. She's cool too.
So Simon, I know that you've asked everyone in here about theirs, but I think that we already know who yours is, but just so that you can get it out there.
Mine will always be Sasha Banks, and she will probably never get a chance to meet me, and I'll never get a chance to meet her, but I am very outspoken about it and very defensive of her.
Oh shoot. Well, I'll keep it on the hush. I won't tell my friend, her husband, I'm actually really good friends with. That's funny you said that. But yeah, that's a good one too.
Well,
That's awesome.
let me ask you this, because of the fact that it's Sonya Deville who is,
Yeah.
the person you said as your crush. What was your, I guess, mindset or reaction to the fact that she's had a stalker and,
Oh
has
yeah, I
has
know.
had her place broken into? I mean, what are
Yeah.
your feelings in terms of, her situation, but also thinking about potentially your situation in the future and staying safe?
Yeah, I mean, that was an awful, I can't believe that happened. I feel so bad that happened to her, for like anyone that has to go through anything like that. Like, it is scary. Like, you are in the public eye, and like, now that social media is so like out there, and people, like, just recently, like one of the things I've been posting stuff like when I was in Florida recently for WWE NXT. I wasn't posting stuff where I was at the time. So like I'll wait and I'll post stuff, but sometimes you got to think about it. I mean, it's sad you have to think about like stuff like that, like,
Yeah.
because you never know. I mean, there's crazy people out there, and it's a crazy world that we live in. I mean, you can't just, put everything out there on the internet. But I know, but yeah, it is scary that to think that could happen to someone, and she didn't deserve that at all, and and I feel bad that happened. But the guy that did it, he's in jail now, and he's serving his time. So I mean, was it really worth it? Like, to be crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, people are just crazy. But yeah, in the future, like, if things that now that things are like picking up and stuff, like I am careful about stuff I put out there. I'm sure other people are think the same, but just in general, like in the internet, there's just it's so like everything's out there, information gets out there, so you just got to be careful and protect yourself as much as you can.
One, oh, I'm sorry, you go ahead. Oh, I was just going to ask you, because kind of double back to a comment that you had said with the representation of the LGBTQ community in
Yeah.
pro wrestling. Do you
Mhm.
feel that, I know we've made some significant moves forward in the proper representation. Do you feel like there's still more room to grow? Or do you
Mhm.
feel that, like Sonya Deville, I think is
Yeah.
so far been the appropriate that I've seen, and I'm
Yeah.
sure there's other cases. Do you feel like that's moving more towards normalcy and not, an agenda, just making it like these are just people and this is
Yeah.
their lives? What
Right.
was your take?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. I do feel like it is getting, it's improving, and like you said, there's been a lot of more representation now. Sonya Deville, WWE, and then like AEW. There's Nyla Rose, and there's Sunny Kiss, and all the other there's so many more, and just like I'm glad that it's finally being accepted more in like the public eye with like wrestling as far as that goes. But yeah, I definitely feel like there's always more room for improvement and like acceptance and just like things with that. Yeah, so definitely I would love to be like more a part of that, or like try and help um be a part of that movement with the LGBTQ community and stuff like that, which I think is great. I mean, WWE, as far as that, I mean, I haven't, thinking off the top of my head, I don't think there's ever been really like characters that have been openly gay or like storylines like that. So I think maybe that's what's missing from as far as like WWE, but hopefully that'll change in the future. But yeah, that's all you can do is just try and and think positive.
Definitely. And now, just to you had mentioned that you were doing some things with NXT. Obviously, you had mentioned that, and then you were also at a WWE house show recently. Tell us about your experiences with WWE.
Oh my gosh. So, well, it's my dream come true to like try and make it to WWE. So I've just been, I've been in contact with some people, and I've been trying to like, trying to see if there's any opportunities or like, a tryout just to get, my foot in the door, just trying to do whatever I can, which is, so far it's been great. So I'm just trying to like stay positive and like, just keep, trying to, try and follow my dreams. That's all you can do. So, but yeah, I was at the recent house show. I know you probably saw the clip I posted. I was like fangirling a little bit. But yeah, it was it was actually fun to be a part of that and like get to see that. And then, NXT, I was with Travis, and that was a great time. We had a great time there. And so yeah, I mean, hopefully down the road soon. I mean, you can only hope and just keep working hard and just trying to, follow your dreams.
And of course that means that you had some Cracker Barrel that that Travis probably took you to.
Yeah, actually no, I haven't been, but Cracker Barrel is one of my favorites.
Wait,
yeah.
you haven't been with him out of all?
No, I haven't. Maybe, I don't know. Is that like
Wow.
I know it's probably like a thing or something, I'm guessing, or yeah. But Cracker Barrel is actually amazing. I love Cracker Barrel.
Well, yeah, that's the most shocking thing I think we've learned today is that you haven't been taken to Cracker Barrel,
but let's be honest, are you ever really taken to Cracker Barrel by Travis, or are you just told you're going to be going to Cracker Barrel for a meeting spot?
I'll have to hit him up and say, hey, let's go to Cracker Barrel next time.
So, obviously you're chasing your dreams right now. And while that, we all have to have some kind of income coming in. What do you do for a real, a real day job or shoot job, if you would?
Yeah. Well, so I work for a company that, it helps a lot with, I don't know if you're familiar with like e-discovery or, that kind of thing. It's actually really interesting. It's something that I always wanted to like as a backup, if wrestling never worked out or whatever, that, like the kind of stuff you see on TV, like you see the high profile cases, with, like trying to get help. I basically help like the attorneys and investigators with, their like cases with their emails and trying to figure out like data and stuff like that and evidence and helping them search for things like that. So it's actually it's a really fun, interesting job on the, and I'm actually very happy, blessed that I was able to, start my career at a young age. I've been, with them for 10 years now. And yeah, it's been great. So I'm very lucky to have that career, path.
Without giving away obviously any like real information, but was there during that 10 years anything that you came across that really caught you off guard and made you go,
yeah,
what?
I mean it's a lot of it is like with like a lot of litigation stuff. There's criminal matters, like there's different cases that came at me, and like you say like you're never surprised when you see, like I'm always shocked when I see stuff. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe this person. It's amazing. Like we're just kind of talking about a little bit what people put out there on the internet or in an email that's very incriminating. So it's like, I mean, it helps us, it helps the the attorneys and investigators crack a case. But yeah, the most fun I've ever had was I got to actually testify in front of a grand jury for a case, and I was happy to be a part of that and just explain, how I, from the beginning, how you get the data, how you help the attorneys and investigators with it. And that was actually really fun for me to do that. Yeah, so that was fun. I enjoy that. I like to help others, like whatever I could do. So like that's a really fun job for me to be a part of, and it's very interesting. So
So basically too, if you're in a relationship, you know the tool how to get into the out there in the phones. Speaking of relationships and outside of wrestling, things you do, is there any interests or stories or roommates, anything that on the outside people might not know, just looking at you and your career?
I mean, nothing exciting. I mean, personal private life is not exciting, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just like really focused on doing the wrestling thing and my career and stuff like that. So if it happens, it happens. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just happy living my best life, I guess, right now, just focused on what I got to do to get to the next, the next thing, and just following my dreams,
Oh, and as we start to kind of get towards wrapping up, let me ask you about that. In achieving those dreams, obviously you got to put in a lot of work. What does
Right.
it look like for you in terms of your like workout and training schedule, and how is that all fitting into place for you?
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep busy, that's like what a lot of it is a lot of self-discipline and just trying to, balance it out. I do have my backup career too, so it's like trying to balance that and the wrestling too was but I enjoy it. I like a challenge. So like I'm always like just trying to stay on the grind and work out and do whatever I can. And I actually took up jujitsu and
Nice.
kickboxing recently, so I try to keep myself busy with that. I just always try to stay busy and just focused and keeping my mental focus too, because mental health is important too, not just the physical, like working out and eating right. A lot of it is like you have to be mentally like good, and that's why I always try to have a positive mindset no matter what. Because I know there's days where you get like unmotivated or you know you get down on yourself, but I just always try to like just try and put myself like, this is the goal. It's good to have goals too, to keep yourself focused. So I just always try to do that. And then I hope that, WWE, my dream will come true soon. I don't know. Talking about it's getting me excited, but, we'll see.
That's
Well,
awesome.
no, you
Yeah.
have to talk about it. You have to talk about it.
You have to, yes. Manifesting and talking about it, right?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
What would you say, as we're all kind of closing up, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully in WWE. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
No,
I
that's
mean,
good.
still,
That's good
still
though.
wrestling, like trying to just doing whatever I can to chase after my dream, which is hopefully to be in WWE one day. And like since I was a kid, I've loved wrestling, and I do, like we were talking about that about my career and stuff. Like it's not anything I'm like super passionate about, but wrestling has always been something I've been constantly like it's always been something I've been passionate about, and just like it was my escape, growing
Okay.
up because I was going through stuff, and it was my escape from like reality, and like it made me happy to watch it and see, the guys and the girls, especially like one of the people that really inspired me to start wrestling was China, because back then, she was wrestling the guys and the girls, and that was like totally different. And I feel like she was a trendsetter, and like that's something that I feel like I want to do like in wrestling. Maybe I can inspire, be original, and just hope that, there's so many women and men that paved the path, for wrestling, and she's one of them that sticks out. China, she was a huge inspiration for me, and I really love the fact that she, when I was lucky to meet her back in the day. She was doing a signing for her autobiography, If They Only Knew. And I just remember how kind and sweet she was, and just like totally like, appreciative of the fans that were there. And like that was very impressionable for, like a 11, 12-year old, girl. Just, loving the fact that she was true to herself. And that's why I always try to, be true to myself and try to, inspire other people to be true to themselves. So at the end of the day, it's always important to be you and not be, ashamed of who you are no matter what. So like she was always a big influence. And like just before she passed away, it's actually really sad to bring it up, but I wanted to bring it up because she, I reached out to her and wanted her to know, like, listen, I pretty much like wrote a novel. I'm thinking that she wasn't going to read it or respond, but she did respond. And she, I'll never forget it. And she just said, like, it means so much to me. I can't even put into words how much, your support, you guys mean the world to me and stuff like that. And she just said, always strive to be better and study every match. And she was just giving me really nice, genuine, sweet advice. And then, I feel like a couple of days later, that's when she, passed away. So that always stuck with me. And that maybe, ignited the spark, the fire to get back into wrestling and, go after my dreams. And, it's never too late to do it, it's never too late to chase after your dreams. So wanted to end it on a happy note.
Definitely. And so
Really quickly, you had mentioned kickboxing and jujitsu.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Saturday, March 12th, you are getting into the cage and doing some stuff with Combat Fights Unlimited.
Yes.
Really quickly, tell us about that.
you guys, wow. I'm so excited for that. I'm so pumped. I've never been in an actual like professional fight, so that's actually something I've always wanted to do. So I'm really excited to get into that and whip some butt and like show that other side of me that no one's probably ever seen. It's like, Kayla Sparks can really get in there and make someone tap or do whatever I gotta do, knock out. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for that. I'm excited.
That's awesome.
And before we take off here, if anyone listening or watching wants to get in contact with you or follow your career, how do they go about your social media? How do they find you?
So mine's like, I kind of try to keep it simple. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find me at Kayla Sparks 247. Let me explain the 24/7 reference. So 24/7, I always keep it in my my stuff like that, because the wrestling school I started at when I was 13, Chip Stetson was my trainer, and the wrestling school was called 24/7 Wrestling. So
Nice.
It's always stuck, you know what I mean? It's like my roots. So like I wanted to like always keep that, a part of me, my wrestling. So yeah, Kayla Sparks 247. You guys want to check me out. I'm also on YouTube, just Kayla Sparks. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, I hope the listeners get a chance to check out your, especially your Instagram feed. It's just fun stuff, and
Yeah.
and
I keep
yeah,
it just thanks
great.
guys.
Um,
Yeah.
but please, follow what Kayla's doing, because she's definitely close to that next point where you're going to have a little notoriety, and
I hope.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 You know
Really
what?
hope.
I love the humbleness, right? Because that's shows that you're humble about it. But at the same time, man, I know with your desire and your attitude, I wouldn't use the word hope. I would use the word I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, yeah. Aw. That means so much to me. Thank you so much, you guys. Like truly, like I've always been that way. Like I've always, just you said humble and stuff like that. It's always important just like to remember, like I was always raised that way, to be like, no matter who it is in life, like whether it's the janitor or the vice president, CIO, like you always treat everyone the same. And that's how I live my life by, is like you just always treat people with kindness. And that's all what it's about. Just be kind to each other and support one another, and that's it.
And that's the perfect note to end the episode here. Thank you again for joining us, and everyone
Thank you
listening.
so much.
Yes, and thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next time.
Thank you guys so much. It was nice talking to you guys, and shout out to everyone watching. Thank you.